Hey, it's Lewis D again, and for this video, I'm gonna do again another version of the Save or Drop Book Challenge. Hoorah! So, y'all know I found this in Jesse the Reader's channel, and I did something like this in 2020 with a book series, and this time I'm gonna be doing it with standalones. So, the mechanics, so there are 10 books which will be paired up based on what I picked from this fake jar, and then there's gonna be like 5 rounds, and each round there are like a couple of books, and either I'm gonna save one among the two or drop the other. So let's begin. Round 1. So I'm gonna pick the first pair. I'm not gonna look, I'm just gonna look at the camera lens. So the first and the hopefully not really something too difficult. Okay, so the first pair, America Is Not the Heart by Elaine Castillo, and Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi. Let me get the couple of books first. So here's Permanent Record. Now the story of this follows Pablo Neruda, who is working in a bodega, and one day he meets like a celebrity and they started falling in love, and the story sort of revolves there mainly, but actually like the main theme of this book is actually Pablo Neruda's like life, like what does he really want to do and like what he wants to achieve, like he wanting something bigger, more than him being like working in the bodega. So like I always say, this cover is deceiving because although this exists, but it's not really like the core of the story, which happens to a lot of Mary H.K. Choi's books so far, the couple of books that I've read. And this one is America's Not the Heart by Elaine Castillo. This follows Ronnie, who is, I believe Ronnie is an immigrant or a daughter of an immigrant. Now, yeah, so this one, I really enjoyed this one. Not so much. Like, the reason why I didn't enjoy this one is because I felt like, it lacked the intensity. It still made me want to know why America's Not the Heart. And it did feel, maybe it's because I was getting into this more of like wanting to know, more about the title, which kind of like towards the latter part, it revolved in more of a love triangle kind of thing. So that's why, in terms of my reading experience, I didn't like it. I do have like some great memories of this one because I brought this when I went to Singapore and had like photos of it like during my first first set of photos in my Instagram account. And then this one, I just really loved it. At first it was quite rocky, like it was like, I wonder what the story really is about. Am I going to get into this? And boom, like the scenes had so much impact. So for this case, I'm going to save Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi, and I'm going to drop nicely America Is Not the Heart. Round 2. Let's see the lucky 2 books. The Long Walk by Stephen King and Kaleidoscope by Danielle Steel. Both of them are great books. So The Long Walk follows the story of like some sort of I kind of allude this to or compare this to the Death March, wherein they have to have this like competition wherein for the most part they have to walk like non-stop, except for like they have like certain chances where they can stop, but for the most part they have to like walk through this long like road, and if they lose their chances to rest, then bye-bye. It's kind of like they say, I found like when I searched about it, like the synopsis of it, they say that this is like a dystopian horror novel because it is quite like, it's not like wherein you have a lot of grim, dark creatures, but it's just like a situation where you wouldn't want to be. Like if you have like the Hunger Games as like one of the worlds that you rather not be in, or let's say the Maze Runner, which I have yet to read. Like this is the one that I pick, like I'd rather not be in. I don't want to like walk for like a long time in my life and only have like few like rests or pause, and like I have to finish it, otherwise if I stop, you know. And this one is definitely different compared to The Long Walk, obviously, because it's by Danielle Steel. This is a contemporary book. It follows the story of three sisters who were separated because of, you know, different tragic events that happened to their family. And gosh, this was like the book that captivated me. Like, well, both of these captivated me. But if I'm gonna have to choose, I'm gonna have to choose Kaleidoscope because, you know, the emotions, like the tragedy, you know, the different circumstances that happened to the sisters. One had a really awful like childhood, and the other one was able to, you know, be in a more privileged kind of life and more comfortable. The other one was able to pursue like medicine, and there was like a little bit of a twist towards the end. You gotta read the book to find out. So in this round, I'm gonna drop The Long Walk nicely and save Kaleidoscope by Danielle Steel. Round 3! So who would be the lucky two or the lucky pair? Boat Talk by Candy Gurley. And, oh, The Pilgrimage by Paulo Coelho. Let me get a couple of books. So this is The Pilgrimage. This follows the story of Paulo Coelho's journey into a pilgrimage as far as I recall. It's been a while since I read this, and I actually included this in the list of books that I want to reread. Now I have a video of it. I'll link it down below, you know, if I find it. And this is Boat Talk by Candy Gurley. Now this follows the story of two different individuals, one who grew up, you know, in the plains, or in Filipino we call it Kapatagan, and the other guy went, or rather grew up in the mountains, you know, from Bontok, like Bontok, like the place Bontok, you know. So this is a historical fiction, middle grade, preteen novel, and this one is more of a literary biographical novel. Now this is difficult because they're definitely different from each other, but they're very strong. But I think in terms of impact, I'm gonna have to go with Bone Talk, just because in terms of like how it captivated, you know, my mind, you know, because this is like set during like the American occupation, so it's fantastic. I actually also want to reread this, hopefully one day soon, when time tells. And yes, this one I would love to reread. Maybe in my second time that I read this one, I would, you know, enjoy it a lot more, because usually that happens to me when I reread books. You know, I tend to like enjoy them to my like succeeding reading experience. So unfortunately for now, I'm gonna drop The Pilgrimage nicely and save Boat Talk by Candy Gurley. Round 4. So the lucky two are Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Reeby, Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. So Patron Saints of Nothing follows the story of Jay Reguero, who lives in America, and he's a Filipino American, and he finds out the story of his cousin June in the news in relation to the war on drugs that was happening in the Philippines. And yeah, he gets to visit the Philippines with the permission of his parents and gets to know more about what actually happened to his cousin. And this one on the right is Eleanor Park, written by Rainbow Rowell. Now this follows the story of Eleanor Park. It's just like your typical like high school kind of like first romance kind of story where they kind of like meet each other in the bus, and where, you know, it's kind of like when they start falling in love. Now, if I'm gonna have to choose which one I'll save and drop, I'll save Patron Saints of Nothing, just because I really enjoy like the narrative, and almost every scene of it was vivid, like vividly done. The short chapters though can feel like as if there are junctures. However, like overall, the story was vivid, and it's gonna make you think about things, you know, certain topics like in life. While this was okay, it was decent, but there were times wherein like I didn't know like what was happening, or I felt like in terms of like the romance, like it didn't really move into like another like level or another notch. There were times that it seemed like cyclical. That's like the word for it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a Twilight syndrome, where you felt like there wasn't really anything happening other than them talking. So at times it felt like that, but I have to acknowledge that the ending, or like the latter parts of it, was really a ride, and it was really a suspense. And like the cliffhanger though, I had to kind of like try to look at Rainbow's like note about it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to save Patron Saints of Nothing, and I'm gonna drop Eleanor Park nicely. And the last pair for the 5th round, I didn't bring the fate chart because, you know, pretty much the last two are going to be the ones that are going to be in this round. So they are Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks and Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Another Mary H.K. So this is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. and this is Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks. Now, this follows the story of Penny, who gets to meet a guy and they become textmates. And then this one follows the story of a woman who moved to a different town or city because she was escaping her like ex, who was really doing a lot of creepy things towards her. And yeah, it's more of a suspense actually. So because of that, I'm gonna have to pick this one a little bit more, although this one was pretty good. Although at first there were things that I noticed that it's kind of like it would make you think, oh, this was a debut work. There was a part there that I had to like repeat because I didn't really understand what it was trying to portray. Like, I think the way that the sentence was written, it was like I was confused and I had to read it multiple times, and honestly it didn't really like evoke about what was said. But definitely it kind of explores like more serious matters in a not so like dramatic kind of manner, which I liked. And like what I noticed about like Mary H.K. Cho's books is that though there's romance, there's always like that element wherein one of the characters like situations, circumstances, and problems were being like discussed. Like that's like the narrative, like kind of like the more of actually the core of the narrative rather than like the romance. So unfortunately though, this one really pumped it up. This was like a book that like made me not stop like reading it. It's kind of like one of the great books written by Nicholas Sparks that I've read like way before when I was amazed with See Me. Y'all know how I felt about See Me by Nicholas Sparks. So yeah, I'm gonna drop this one nicely and keep Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks, or should I say Save Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks. These are the books that were dropped nicely. And these are the books that were saved. If you've read any of these books, feel free to put down your thoughts. And if you've made it this far, leave this emoji like pointing up, you know. So I hope you folks enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, click that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon somewhere down there to keep yourselves posted about my videos. I'm also putting down links and handles of my social media accounts, so feel free to check me out and follow me there as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. Always be thankful and unleash the reader in you. Bye, y'all. Mwah.